Hello, and welcome to you everyone to the Future of Product webinar series. Today's topic will be breaking the organizational silos with better product management. Okay, in this webinar, we will clarify how the product management is creating value for each different stakeholders within a product organization. So basically how a product manager, or the title could be something different as well, but somebody who does product management, how they can help other internal stakeholders in order to make the actual product business to run and to be kind of create winning products in order to have overall success for the whole product organization or company. So today I'm here, my name is Antti Suvanto. I have a long background in product management. I started in product management in 1995. I have done other things as well, most of them being kind of an internal stakeholder for product management, so that I have had a look how the product management should be, not just being inside product management and thinking that we are doing all good, we are the best here. Last 10 years, I have been helping different kind of product organizations to improve their product management capabilities, processes, organizing product management. And I have coached and trained many product managers during recent years. And with me, I have Marc Dillon.
Hello, nice to see you. Marc Dillon, I am a lead consultant at Eficode. I'm focusing on enterprise transformations with the transformation business here. I've been in software since COBOL days. I've been a developer, team leader, line manager, a CTO, a CEO, a scrum master, a product owner, an agile coach, among other things. I've actually not had just the role of product manager before, but I'll give it my best shot and give a little bit of counterweight to some of Antti's arguments.
Okay, thanks. So if we would have hats, my hat would be more like product managers or somebody working in product management, and Marc, you have the other hats today.
Lots of hats today.
Yeah. Okay, let's continue. So what is an organizational silo? So this metaphor is quite descriptive. Marc, have you, during your career or even currently, are you seeing that in some organizations today, we are speaking about especially product organizations. Do they have silos?
There's many different ways to have silos. One of the ways that Antti and I were talking is if you have different business models within your organization, those might be silos. Certainly, your teams themselves might be silos. You might have teams that are divided for infrastructure and middleware and applications. You might have IT. All of these can be silos. In the worst case, you can even think of your internal organization as a silo compared to your customer as a silo. And there's also all these other silos like the finance department. If you're a product organization, your IT department may be itself a silo or a set of silos. You may also, if you are an IT organization, so perhaps you are a finance institution or in heavy industry, and your IT department is responsible for essentially research and development, and you have yet another type of silos or set. But the thing that I really like about Antti's picture here is that, what is this across the top, Antti?
It's a conveyor belt.
Yes. So what they expect in many silos is for communication to go all the way up and across and back down again. And this is assuming a lot of things. It's assuming that the message gets heard. It's assuming that the message gets transferred, and it's assuming that the same message goes back down into the next silo. And I think that's a lot of assumptions.
Yeah, exactly. This is a good way of illustrating it. If you think about the brain inside these silos, most likely the purpose of using them is the same. But when talking about the organizational silos, maybe the kind of a target setting and the basic reason why that part of organization exists is different than the neighboring part of the organization. And then even in target setting and things like that, there might happen some, let's say, sub-optimization, so that not everything is connected together and kind of serving the outcome of the whole company.
Yes. And there's two definitions for silos that I'd like to think about today. One is that a silo is a part of the organization that doesn't have the whole big picture or doesn't have the whole ability to deliver. A second way of thinking of silos in a technical terms is a silo is something that doesn't have an API. So it doesn't have a very clearly defined set of input and output and then repeatable transformation of data that gets fed in and comes out again. So that's two very interesting ways to think of a silo. They don't have the big picture and they don't clearly repeatably transform things that go in and out of them.
Yeah, yeah. I was also thinking about that. Is it easy to make silos in very small organization? If we could be 5 persons or 4, can we make silos?
We sure could. We might have a salesperson that is a silo of their own, that is outside all of the time, doing their best in order to get sales. But then when they come back, it doesn't necessarily have a big picture understanding of what's happened inside the house. Could be the same for a non-technical manager versus a small technical team. They might be silos even within the same team, a manager and their employees, because they don't necessarily share the same vision or the same picture. They can't quite exactly understand exactly the same things on the same level. So it can be very difficult. There are all of these different things to overcome, even in a small team, but of course in big ones as well.
Yeah, yeah. So if it's easy to kind of enter this siloed mode in a small group of people, I guess it happens all the time if we have a larger organization.
Yes.
And definitely then the roles are more kind of specific for certain tasks, and people do not have kind of a natural interaction. They cannot go to the same lunch table or whatsoever. So the bigger the organization is, the risk is higher.
And I want to say today that we are talking about product management in not necessarily a traditional sense, but in a classical sense. No matter how agile that you are, no matter how big or small your organization, the things that we talk about today about product management are still going to apply to you.
Yeah. So here is an example of a siloed organization. So that if information moves, it could be, the worst case would be that everything goes through the CEO or the head of product line or whomsoever. Second best option would be that these team leads in the middle layer are communicating, but if I would be part of any of these teams, then I should talk to my team lead and he or she would then contact to the other team leads. And sometimes those are even not directly connected. So maybe team lead of sales would contact the team lead of product management, who would contact the team lead of development, and then there would be access for the development team members. So rather inefficient communication there.
I mean, are there very many areas in your life where you look and say, I really wish I had more bottlenecks? Are there any parts that you wish that, you know, the communication would be less? And yet some organizations, they intend to operate like this. Like, you shouldn't talk to my team unless you go through me, for an example. I had a customer say that today. Can you believe that? That, you know, a customer was saying, well, people keep coming and I have to block.
Yeah. That happens.
It does.
So maybe all of us here and over there in the audience, we have met people who have a kind of a tendency of having a lot of control. So that if I'm the boss, then I need to know everything. Everything needs to go through kind of my desk in the worst case, not even using any digital medias there.
Yes.
Yeah. So what are the challenges? I guess part of this we already touched, but the goal setting, so that different parts of organizations, they do have different goals and they are not aligned. So nothing is shared, and there we are just optimizing our personal work or the work of our teams, but it's not well aligned with the neighboring teams.
Like if you have team level incentives, and maybe those incentives were derived already from the company level incentives, but if they're mismatched between the teams, I mean, can you imagine?
Yeah, exactly. Also in decision making, it will be always sub-optimized, so that the kind of outcome type of thinking doesn't apply, but we do the decisions so that our team or our lives will be easier, not necessarily having the viewpoint of the other teams who are affected by that specific decision.
And I often think about these, like if there's a chain of events and some of them take longer than others, and we optimize the wrong one because we don't have the big picture, then we're just wasting our time if there are other steps going on in parallel that might take even longer.
Yeah, sure. The communication becomes slow if there are several people you need to contact, or the information needs to pass, and then one of them is having corona and away 1 week, then we have 1 week delay there. So it makes it very, very complicated, and also priorities of issues are not the same for every person in the chain. So that in that kind of situation, it may even break. And the thing, what happens is that a lot of assuming takes place. So that if I don't have a possibility to check something directly from somebody, then I think that, there is so much overhead. It's so complicated. I need to explain this to persons who don't really understand even this topic. And then I won't do it, but I assume that, okay, in my thinking, it should go like this. And even though we might master many things, still we might not have all the facts within us, so that it would be much better for checking it from the kind of subject matter expert, or the person who is really daily working with that issue.
Or communicating directly with the person asking for the thing.
Yes. And in order to reach your targets, we and you, we need to kind of work across the organization. As there is, in most cases, there is somebody who has more knowledge about that specific detail, specific issue, or it's kind of a connected, his or her daily work. So we need to reach other people in the organization in order to make the right decisions and keep wheels running. So this is very simple model for an optimal product organization. And the idea is that we would have a cross-functional product team. So we manage the product somehow. Maybe we will handle it a little bit more later. And basically, we collect people from different parts of the organization, and the kind of a common thing is the business or success of that specific product. so that we are targeting for making as much outcome with that product in order to make good business, and then we kind of consume resources and people from these different parts of organization, and we have most of the information all the time available for us. And in that kind of environment, we can also be agile.
Mhm. There's so many things here. We have become much more cross-functional in software development in recent years. It's a really good sign where you're getting a product team is able to essentially work everything from customer feedback through to product delivery. The second thing here that's really important is note the word product team. I've actually seen companies that have built very sophisticated products in a project mode, and they think, okay, we've delivered 1.0, all those people can now go do something else. And it's like, oh my gosh, it's like the greatest investment comes when the product is actually already out. That's when the total cost of ownership actually begins, when we start doing the marketing and the sales and the support and trying to get the most value out of the product that is already out. So product rather than project. If we're on a project to build a product and we think that those people are then going to have something else to do, we're fooling ourselves. But really this cross-functionality, and even there can be salespeople directly in a team that's building software, and they're validating ideas in a lean fashion, in a continuous manner, and helping to bring customers to the developers in order to make sure that they're building something that actually solves the customer's problems. But there's so many things to think about here.
Yeah, exactly. Kind of one common mistake is that, for example, sales and marketing are not involved early enough to the new product generation, which means that they only hear about the product when it's pretty near to be launched. And then all of a sudden we might be in a situation that our kind of a channel for selling the product is inadequate. There are limitations which we didn't consider early enough, so that creates very fast requirements for very fast changes in the channel, and that might be resource intensive and expensive.
Mm-hmm. And a similar thing goes with the delivery team here. I've heard so many times that quality and delivery teams, support teams, and things like that, they start to find out about the product near the end game. Small changes could have been made that would have made it much easier to deploy or to deliver. Small changes could have been made that would have made it much easier to support, or would have taken the customer support's feedback into the development in such a way that would make the whole thing better for the consumer. So bringing these types of people together in order to build and maintain and get the full value out of products is super important.
Yeah. Okay, and let's move after this short introduction to the main topic, that how product management can break the silos. So just a very simple description what actually product management is. And it all starts from finding new ideas, analyzing new opportunities, kind of running small scale tests in order to find out that if there is a problem, if the problem is valuable to be solved, and if there is a market, so that big enough kind of customer base will have the same problem, so that it's really worthwhile of investing to the development. Then, of course, we need to build the product. In product management, we actually call it as product planning, which is not actually coding. It's more like answering the questions that what should be built, why, how do we make money out of it, and then kind of increasing the user understanding that how should the product look like, what problems it's going to solve, who are the users, and the idea is to have a good enough contacts for the developers who are responsible then to find out the right technical solutions and build the product. When we are launching a new product, this product marketing part is of course focus area, as when we are bringing new products to the markets, then we need to have the marketing machine well oiled. So that's a very intensive part for that. And after that, the product lifecycle management. Of course, we need to have a product strategy, so kind of a building the framework or the sandbox. So what is our business? Who are our customers in kind of a wider, more abstract layer? And all these phases are there with every single product. And the important thing here is not that if the product is service, hardware, or software, but the important thing here is that any product will need kind of an owner. Somebody needs to manage and look after the business of the product over the whole life cycle of the product. And of course, especially software products are not such that we do it once and then we sell it for 10 years. So that there will be a lot of iterations, improvements. We do remove some technical debt for whatsoever. So basically, this is a cyclic process that during this life cycle management phase, we actually all the time look for improvements or new customer segments, and they create need for changes on the product. And those will be analyzed with the tools and methods of market opportunity. Market opportunity, yes. And once we have identified enough value, then we go to the product planning phase. Then we need to kind of launch the additional functionality or launch for additional customer segments, so that it's a cyclic, continuous thing, but the ownership needs to be there all the time.
And I just want to point out, this is not a waterfall picture. One might look at it and say, hey, wait a minute, this looks an awful lot like waterfall. We plan and we market and we do life cycle management. But instead, everything has beginnings, middles, and ends. In product strategy, you're always looking for what the ideas are, and you want to validate those, and you want to plan to some degree how you're going to build them. And then when they start getting ready, the big investment comes, which is marketing, which is this huge, we're looking at the customer lifetime value of the product with this large part of the life cycle that is on the right. So no matter you're using, hopefully, agile methods, hopefully DevOps methods, you will still have similar items like this, and still the product profit comes towards the right side, this large gray hill on the right in the life cycle management, and understanding that, yes, we might have many times where we turn back and we might need to do lots of different types of validation, but still the big profit comes as the product gets out and we invest in the marketing and we invest in the end parts of the life cycle.
Yes, exactly. And also, well, we cannot go to the details here, but also the kind of main goals in these different phases are very different. So that when entering to a mature business, it's more like automation and efficiency of the delivery. If we are talking about the launch phase, it would be only growth. So that's also shared with all kinds of products. How product management connects the silos. So in many organizations, if you work as a product manager, or if you follow how the product managers are working, actually you will notice that they will connect these different stakeholders together. So that, for example, a good product manager protects the development from kind of very fast single customer specific requirements coming daily from the salespeople who work in very short-sighted. And their product management is kind of in between. And that happens also to other parts of organization, and also the visibility for the product people working in product management is very good for the different functions of the company. There are always topics on the table of product managers who do not necessarily belong to the expertise area or the kind of a job description of product manager, but these challenges, or maybe sometimes good news, are connected to the product. And if there are no owners for those issues, those will be on the table of the product manager. So that sometimes product managers really need to use time for very strange things connected to their products.
And I would like you to think that if you take this product management dot away, everything is still connected. So the product manager is still facilitating, not being a bottleneck of, but facilitating the communication between all of these different parts of the organization. And that's really the key here, and what Antti has done such a wonderful job to illustrate. So a good product manager tells you what you don't need to have to deliver, like what the salesperson is thinking of for just this one customer on just this one day, or the features that are not necessary for day one, but could be day 30 or day 100 of the product. But facilitating these communication is what a really good product manager can do, and then can also tell you what you don't need to do.
Yeah, exactly. The role of product manager, of course, there are different titles for people doing product management or leading products. So it's not limited to product manager. Mm-hmm. However, for the sake of simplicity, we have been using product manager here. And the basic role is to understand the market and the customers. Not only the users, but also the buyers of the products, mm-hmm. and third-party partners whatsoever, so that it's a little bit larger scope than one would initially think. Product managers are business-driven, and they are focusing on results, outcome rather than output. So ultimately, the success of their product should be measured, and product manager should be kind of responsible of the business of the product, not that if something gets built or not. Important part is defining the product strategy and product vision, so that there would be kind of a longer term view, what is important, what are we aiming to, and how we are going to go there. And what Marc, actually you formulated quite nicely, is that a good product manager is a humble servant for his stakeholders and helps the other people to reach also their targets. And then in return, they will help the product manager's tasks and things he is not going to do personally, like sales or delivering whatsoever. And together, this forms the product success.
Yes. Very well put.
Now we have some examples that how could this work in practice. So how do product manager help sales? What kind of work is sales?
Oh, sales is often helping your customers understand that not only do they have a problem to solve, but we have a solution for that.
Yeah. So starting from helping the customer to understand that they have a specific need or problem, building some kind of value in customers' mind, that if I would solve this specific problem or need, I would earn much more money. And then there would be euros or dollars in the mind of the customer, and then finally go to the solution part that, well, I can solve this for you.
Yes.
And that's kind of, in many cases, especially in business to business, it's a long path. And how product manager could help sales, I think it's always a struggle to fight on the sales resources for your product. And the easier you make your products to buy, the easier those are to sell. So basically, if the product manager is able to kind of communicate the value for the most important customer or the buyer personas, building kind of a personalized value proposition for typical buyer persons, and communicating the value his product is capable of doing for the customer, that would help extremely the performance of the sales.
Yes. And by working with the sales, a salesperson might have a brief on something that they're supposed to go sell. A product manager in a pre-sales or in a sales call may help to realize that, okay, there are problems that the customer has that maybe they're just beginning to identify or that our product doesn't cover. But because of the experience that they have gained through the organization, they might realize that, okay, if we make some changes to our product, it might open more markets for us. So where the salesperson is oftentimes focused on getting the deal, the product manager may then say, okay, there are future deals that are on the table here that we haven't yet captured.
Exactly. Product manager is not concentrating on a single customer. Product manager is always looking for markets, which is a group of customers, and in most cases also customer segments. And my hint, if there are any product managers here, is that please go to your sales department or salespersons and ask them that who are our customers. And many of you will notice that, oops, there is quite a lot I can do for them. Okay, let's take the next one. How product manager helps marketing. There was a quote that marketing is too important to be left for marketeers. And I think there is a great deal of wisdom there, due to the fact that the core competence of marketing is kind of looking for channels to reach the customers. They are also masters of polishing and creating kind of a material for marketing, but typically they are not kind of do not deeply understand that who are the customers, what are they doing, what are they trying to solve. So my experience says that kind of clearly stating that who are our customers, which are the important customer segments, what's important for them, especially in the buyer's role. And that's kind of a valuable raw material for marketing. So without that, it's very difficult to select right marketing channel. It's very difficult to make properly functioning marketing material if you don't understand well enough the value you are trying to communicate for the potential buyers. So here I see that the product manager has a lot of things to do in order to help marketing.
And I tell you that if you are able to deliver one or more visions of a value proposition and some proposed customer segments to marketing, they will be able to tell you if you're right or wrong. they will be able to at least help to validate that information. And they may come back to you and say, well, these few things didn't necessarily work in these segments, but we tried a couple of extras. And then you realize, okay, so a couple of other segments might have something new that we could look at. But these kinds of inputs, if product management is able to help provide those to marketing, then marketing will help to provide back to product management some of the testing and the validation of these. And then not being too stuck on any one of these in the early days, being able to say, okay, a good marketing department, digital marketers will be able to take these informations and tell you to vary them a little bit, and then to find exactly what the largest market is for your idea, in terms of the vision and the segments that you're putting together. So very important things.
Yeah, exactly. So maybe once again, if there are product managers here, why don't you go and meet your marketing people and ask that, who are our customers? Where do we get more leads? And you might be surprised that your help is still required here. Okay, development. Why would development need help of product managers? Well, I think the kind of questions that what to build and why, how do we make money, who are the customers, especially the users, if we are talking about the product development, that's nearly always done for the users of the product. And also putting right the priorities, what is important and what's not. Kind of telling that this is something we are concentrating on. There are other issues, but we are not doing this, or at least now. So giving the priorities there, and also kind of building kind of a product spirit, and trying to analyze the markets in advance, so that the product manager tries to dig the information what the markets will need in the next year or couple of years after, so that we are solving the problems of our customers early enough, so that the customers do not invent how they want to solve these specific problems. And by doing that, we have the solution in front of the customers just when they are actually needing for it. And then the overall development work can be optimized and if not even minimized. And we get kind of a competitive advantage, not being only in reactive mode. So I think this is core in the product manager's role in product business.
Really, really important. And we have, as time has gone on, we used to see more emphasis on product management, and as we've gotten more agile, we have product owners. And for a while we had, and then the joke about product owners from our conference this year, Antti, from the future of product management was, well, I don't really have a product and I don't really own anything. But then we had technical product owners and business product owners, and the business product owner was more than a product manager type of role, but somebody that's helping all of the development teams that are related to that product, that are spanning the product owners, spanning, not spamming, but spanning the product owners and helping all of them to have the latest information, to help them resolve priorities, to help them not only what is important, but what is not important right now, but what is important maybe a little later, or not the 1.0 feature, maybe the 2.0 or the 1.1 or things like that. And having the time to be able to really study and be involved in what's going on in the market, meet lots of customers, then invite the development teams or the product owners to meet the most important ones, but being a facilitator, not a bottleneck, being able to help kind of fill the funnel and then raise the best things to the top rather than just filter down to the least, the least amount like we have in a traditional kind of funnel. But there's a lot of opportunity here if you have a good product manager who is involved in communicating with all of the different stakeholders and facilitating in the development teams as well.
Yeah, exactly. Management. Why would management of the company need product managers? And how would I say? Sometimes when the decisions are made, some managers are a little bit jealous about the product strategy or making the important decisions here. But basically, those decisions are made with help of product managers. So kind of creating clear business cases for the new development and analyzing the opportunities based on the real data, which is not in practice possible we don't have data from the future. But it means that if we don't know something, that should be also kind of analyzed in a way of risk analysis or whatsoever, so that the uncertainties in the point of decision making are clearly visible, so that it's easier to evaluate that what is the risk here, how good hand we have in our game, so that the decision making will be easy and fast. And also in the introduction, we were discussing about the continuous management of the products. So somebody needs to do that. If there is no dedicated resource for that, with no dedicated persons, then it will be kind of shared responsibility, which is it's not working. Delivery. It's quite funny that it's not dependent what you are delivering. Is it kind of a service somebody is personally delivering for you? But if it's standardized, it's the same thing as delivering physical products or software or any combinations of those. So basically, in order to delivery organization to be successful, there needs to be a realistic forecast. How much we need to deliver and where and how. And I think, especially in the early phase of the product introduction, it's very important that the product manager has kind of hands on these forecasts, as it won't happen. There are a lot of unknowns and uncertainties in the early phases of the life cycle of the product. So it needs to be kind of, if not controlled, but guided by somebody. One very common difficulty in companies is to terminate the aging products, end of life. And that's definitely something which where most companies could be more systematic. And by being more systematic there, you can avoid quite a lot of different kind of costs, and especially the customer satisfaction will be much higher if you do that with good expectation management.
An experienced product manager will start planning the end of life for the product and therefore the handovers or the new product development well before it's too late. If we end up on a platform where we have a lot of customers and we can no longer maintain it, and the people that have built it have moved on or even retired in some cases, then you end up in a very difficult situation where good experienced product management could have prevented this by having plans made well in advance.
Exactly. And usually the kind of long tails of aged products, they have huge amount of hidden maintenance costs. So even though the prices could be still high, but as the volumes are going downwards, then the kind of hidden fixed costs will make it unprofitable, even though it could be very good business in the sales reports.
Total cost of ownership.
Yes. Product manager helps support. So many times it has happened that there are coming new product features, and then we are not communicating that well enough to the support organization, and they actually hear from the customers that something changed in the product. The customer is petrified that we are jeopardizing their business, and then the support people are there that, what on earth? I didn't even know that we have this type of things here, that this changed. So keeping the support organization well informed on the product changes is very important thing. Also, support is a valuable source for improvements for the products, and also complementing the product, the kind of a whole product concept, so that sometimes the customers are having challenges or difficulties with our product, and those could be actually solved by improving the instructions, maybe making some instructional videos or training possibilities or whatsoever. And that could actually help also the customers. So in the end of the day, it's not the support who is going to benefit out of this, but it's the customers, as they can outmeasure more value out of the product if it's easier to use. Okay, some key takeaways. So firstly, the product successes are made by rowing the same boat, and the product manager is responsible for the direction where we are going to. And in the boat, we have members from product management, sales, marketing, development, support, delivery, and we should have a common goal. So the targets need to be aligned. That's the way of making good results. One thing helps here, so that if you are in the role of product manager, think about your internal stakeholders as they are your customers. Help them to reach their goals, and then you will reach your product goals. That's the very simple principle you need to follow, as you don't usually have any direct reportees you could kind of dictate to do something. And if you don't have an effective product management, you will end up in the situation that you will row to several directions in the same moment of time with the same boat, and that's just not going to work. Okay, how we can help in creating these good product management practices is to train and or coach your product managers, facilitate your product strategy creation, assess your product management, and connect the important stakeholders of the winning products, so that also not concentrating only the product management, but to build the connections to the other stakeholder groups. We have plenty of experience of working with them. So we are not just one-trick ponies here. Okay, if there are no additional questions, then thank you for your time. It was fun to be here. If you have any questions in mind, you can always contact us, Antti Suvanto and Marc Dillon from Eficode. I guess it's here.
Thank you, Antti.
Thank you, Marc.
Okay.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye now.